This is Brian.
Jason.
And this is your Perfectly Screwed podcast right here. And this is episode 50 motherfucking 1, baby.
5-1. New computer.
New computer. I had to get a new computer because the other one fucked up.
I'll tell you what, Brian, if I had your money, I'd burn mine.
Burn your what? Money or computer?
My money, if I had all yours.
I don't have any money. Shit. I barely have any money. I wish I had money. If the podcast would make more money, I'd have money. If I was making the kind of money like, certain ones, but I don't. So I digress. So we're going to go on.
I made $830 last night.
Must be nice. I made $0. Yeah. You made $830 while harassing a bride and trying to touch her. Yeah.
No, I would never do that.
Hey, look,
Bridesmaid.
I saw the text. You said you were going to fall into the bride.
I know. Well, I was joking.
Was she hot, though?
Is
that why you said it?
No, she wasn't. No,
she wasn't hot. Poor guy.
No, she's all right.
You can tell me if she was
pretty.
I mean, nobody knows.
She was pretty. I wouldn't say she was hot.
First of all, none of us know the bride. None of us know what wedding you were on. So
I was thinking honestly about the question that you asked.
Oh.
I wouldn't call her hot, but I think she was a pretty girl.
Was she chubby?
No.
No? Amazingly enough.
No.
Was the groom hideous?
He was chubby.
But
not hideous.
But that explains the bride.
But not hideous.
So he got himself a skinny girl.
They were both really nice people.
But he got himself a skinny girl?
She's not skinny, but she's not chubby.
But she's medium.
She's medium.
She's less than...
She's well built.
But you say she's less than him.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
then he upgraded.
He's not huge, but he's,
He upgraded. He did.
He upgraded.
Yeah,
he outkicked his fucking coverage, bro.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie about
he
that.
did what I did.
He would tell you that too, though,
Yeah, well, he did what I did. I say it all the time.
Right.
My wife's slumming and I'm loving. As long as she keeps hitting way below her pay grade.
Right, I know. She's a very lovely lady.
I know. My wife's hot and I'm not.
I would never ask her to her face.
No.
Why she makes the decisions that she makes.
I asked her many times. Are you sure?
I mean,
it's
funny that the conversation's leading this way because I'd like sometimes to get into her brain. And that's what we're about to talk about.
Sometimes I would myself. I'd like to ask her why exactly she chose a guy that was 13 years older than her and not that attractive, with no money. Yeah, I've got nothing going for me, buddy. Let me tell you. And the worst part is when she started dating me. Okay, I have little money now. Okay, so when she started dating me, I had even less. Even less. Now I own this house, or I'm going to very soon. But when we started dating, I didn't even own jack shit.
Right.
Okay, my buddy was allowing me to live here for free because he was nice. And I wasn't making anywhere near any kind of money that I do now. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, I'm the choice? All right. Well, she'd known me for a long time, so maybe that was it.
once you have...
Well, I am charming.
Well, I was going to say, what you have is you're truthful.
Mostly.
You're upfront. And, of course you're full of bullshit.
Sometimes.
But if it is a subject of importance, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to bullshit about it. You're upfront from the beginning, honest.
Well, a subject of importance normally I can look up to in encyclopedias and shit, so. When we're doing the podcast, I sound intelligent, everybody, but the truth being...
She doesn't have to worry about you out running the streets, banging other girls and...
Well, no.
Getting drunk with the boys and doing all, you know what I'm saying?
No, I like to drink at home. No, I never enjoyed bars. I thought they were pointless and annoying. Because, look, first of all, the liquor's overpriced. I'm at a place where at a certain point I got to figure out how to get home.
Yes.
Driving is illegal if you're drunk.
Yeah.
Walking is illegal if you're drunk.
Yes.
So that leaves the option of somebody taking me who hopefully is sober, or a taxi where I got to pay money. So it's kind of pointless. I mean, I could sit at home and listen to loud music on my stereo and not be annoyed by all you other drunk fuckers.
Yeah, I agree.
It was kind of like...
It's all right to go out every now and then when there's a big group of you, but yeah.
Well, if there's a reason, like...
And a reason, right?
Yeah, if you go to a club and they're having a live band, yeah, I can see going there for that reason. If you're going to a club and you and your wife are going out having a few drinks and you're going back home, yeah, that's okay. But yeah, just going out to the bar and staying there for hours and hours, nah, I never liked it. Usually I would go to the bar, well, when I was single, I went to the bar all the time, but that was to get pussy.
Right.
Right. There was only one reason. Mm-hmm. I was going there to get pussy. Or I was going there to play pool and possibly get pussy.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Either way.
But pool was the main objective in that. It was,
yeah.
Yeah, pussy came along the side.
It was always right there at the time.
Right, yeah. Well, if it came along.
Of course.
But if you're not single and you're not going out to hang out with your buddies and play pool, there's really no point in it.
No.
It's kind of like all these guys who go to strip clubs. I never understood the point in that either. You're paying a woman to get naked. Okay. Doesn't that seem stupid to you? I mean, I know guys who literally go out to strip clubs every weekend and spend well over $150 on a girl.
Right.
To get naked. And I told these guys, a hooker's about $150.
Well, I was going to say that.
And she'll come and get naked for you and do other things.
Right. I was going to say,
right. If you're going to waste...
The paying money...
Right.
The paying money just for the girl to just get naked, I'm with you.
No.
It's pretty much pointless.
Yeah, it's stupid.
But,
I mean...
I actually am not against guys paying women to have sex with them.
No,
I think
not
it's
at all.
Perfectly practical relationship.
Scenario. It works perfectly well. Yeah.
And the only thing that fucking prevents it is that girls don't want to be labeled as a whore. But the same girls will let you take them out to fucking dinner and then take them home and fuck them, and then they're not whores.
Well, no. The thing is, I don't really think whores mind being called whores. I mean, hookers really don't mind being called hookers. They know what they came for.
Right.
And not only that, but if the point is you're paying a woman to get naked, I guarantee you if you pay a stripper enough money, well, most strippers, I'm not going to say all, but most strippers, if you pay a stripper enough money, $150, $200, which is what you're going to pay at a normal strip club on a given night anyways.
Yeah.
Right. You could pay her to come over. She'll dance for you and fuck you for $200.
Right.
And then you're not just paying her to dance. Yeah, going to a club, paying a girl to dance on your lap naked while you're fully clothed is the smartest thing in the world for women and the dumbest thing in the world for men.
Right. But,
I mean...
Hey, man, to each their own.
I guess. I mean, if you like to be...
I've had some good times in strip clubs.
Well, yeah, but look...
But they were bachelor parties, they were reasons.
Yeah. If you're out with your buddies...
I'm not just hanging out, right?
Yeah, if you're hanging out with your buddies, that's one thing. But if you're literally going to a strip club... Like, I know a guy that we work with, and I'm not going to give him his name or anything, but he goes to strip clubs all the time, every weekend. And I understand he can't get women because he's older, he's ugly, he's short, So, for all intents and purposes, he cannot get a legitimate woman to have sex with him. But again, this is the same guy I told, hey, hookers are a lot cheaper, dog. I mean, you're spending... he told me one time he spent $300 on a stripper trying to get her to go home. I'm like, for $300, you could have bought a hooker and she would have had no problem going to your house or anywhere else you wanted to fuck her.
But it's not... Hookers aren't easily accessible around here.
Of course they are.
Find a hooker.
Fuck. I could give you 15 websites right now. You could probably go find a hooker.
Yeah, I guess we got.
And pretty much, if you're going to a strip club,
yeah,
hooker.
You might as well pay the membership fee to the website and get a hooker, yeah.
Well, I mean, you could probably go to a strip club and offer them women $300, and I'm sure right after they were done with work, they'd be more than happy to fucking fuck you in the car.
You'll find one of them.
Right. I'm sure somebody at the strip club would be more than happy to do a little extra.
All these girls that are willing to take clothes off for a $1 bill, I would say $1 one of them for $300 would at least blow you in the parking lot.
See, that tells you how long it's been since you've been to a strip club, bub. $1 ain't gonna get you shit nowadays. Won't even get you in the door, son.
Well, but I mean,
if you tried to tip a stripper a $1 bill right now, she'd look at you and laugh and walk away.
But that's what you give them when they come around to your table if you're sitting there.
No, they won't take that no more. That's the funny part.
Get the fuck away.
Yeah, they want 5 or more.
Over there.
Yeah, they want 5 at least. They want a 5. Yeah. Hey, cost of living, man, inflation, price of pussy went up.
But I mean, I got this $1. I don't want it.
Yeah, but she ain't gonna take it. She's gonna look at you like crazy because the next guy at the table next to you is paying 5. Yeah, no, I didn't, and this was a few years ago that I know this because I had a friend here who went to strip clubs. The guy who used to own this building, as a matter of fact, he went to a strip club. He's the one that told me, they only take 5s now. And like a private dance is like $25. I'm like, Jesus Christ, $25 to do what? And he's like, for her to take her top off and dance on your lap with a G-string. What?
Yeah.
You're paying $25? Shit, you can go to fucking cam sites and $25 get you like 2,000 minutes with a naked bitch. I mean, fuck. I mean, Jesus, what the hell are we doing here? What kind of crazy shit's going on?
Yeah. All right, that's enough. Yeah, I'm done with strippers.
Okay, I'm done with them too. Now, what are we talking about today? Not strippers.
The brain. We were going to talk about the
brain. Yes, not the one between your legs either, Jason. We're talking about our brain, the one on top of our heads. The medulla oblongata.
So the part of the brain that we have that works that in other animals doesn't is the neocortex.
Right, the neocortex.
Hence where the Matrix got the name from, Neo.
Yeah.
So,
the medulla oblongata, which I was saying, is actually not part of that, and it's interesting. The medulla oblongata, which is your primitive brain, which is your original brain, is actually at the base of your skull, and the neocortex, which is what you're talking about, is at the front, upwards. Yeah. So one controls emotions, and houses what we consider the soul or whatever.
So your primitive brain would be, your instincts.
Yeah,
right?
it's
your survival instincts, your fight or flight.
Fight or flight. It also controls anger and aggression.
Okay.
Where your neocortex controls what we consider love, complex thought.
Yeah. It's what gives rise to us basically being aware that we're us.
Yeah.
It's our imagination.
Yeah. Our imagination is housed there. Although they're not sure of that either. Because, again, what is it called? Jesus Christ. It's in the middle of your brain. I cannot remember what it's called. It's
pineal?
The pineal gland.
Pineal.
Yeah. The pineal gland, they think, has a lot to do with emotions, and they think that's where
this is your third eye.
Yeah, they think that's where your soul is, quote unquote, housed in the center of your brain. It's also the only part of your brain that if it's damaged, there's no reworking it. If your pineal is damaged, you're basically dead.
Okay.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. But yeah, like your neocortex, you can get along without it. You have severe altered personality, but you can still get along without it.
So, like, I heard Billy Carson say one time, and I thought it was interesting to think about, as above, so below, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you think of the brain as being encapsulated in darkness, and so it can't do anything without information. So it sends out its friends, its senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
To go gather information, collect information, and bring it back so I know what's going on out there.
Mm-hmm.
And he likens that then to what is God, and then we would be the senses, we would be the friends. We're on a data collecting adventure, basically, to gather information and take it back to the source.
Right.
And so your brain performs 400, this is, on average, 400 billion actions per second. Every second of the day, your brain is performing 400 billion actions. And so what's happening is our feelings, our emotions, how we feel, our heart. Our heart is sending out a signal out into the field, right? This field of energy that surrounds us all. And you could think of it as the mind. Mm-hmm. So your brain and your mind are not the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I always thought that, right? If you were talking about your mind, that you were talking about your brain, that the two were intertwined, the two were interconnected. Now they are interconnected, but they're not the same thing.
Right.
How you feel sends a signal out. That signal, then the brain takes and processes it at 400 billion actions per second and projects it out in front of you, and that's what you're seeing, and that is the matrix that you're navigating through. That's why two people can be looking at the exact same thing, but they see it differently.
Yes.
How is that possible? It's because you are seeing it differently, because you guys don't feel the same.
Right.
And so how you feel is that's the energy, that's the frequency that you are putting out into the universe, which means in turn, that is the frequency then that the universe goes into your brain and is being translated, processed, and given back to you.
Well, see, this is interesting. The limbic system is a group of interconnected structures that are located deep within inside your brain. And it is the part of the brain that's responsible for all behavior and emotional responses. So, scientists to this day still do not know exactly all the parts that make up the limbic system or even how it exactly works correctly. They know that it involves, though, the hypothalamus, the hippocampus, the amygdala, and the limbic cortex. So the hypo, there we go. See, I'm going to explain something to everybody out there just so we all are clear. Brian has been drinking a little bit today. Normally I don't drink, but Brian has been drinking a little bit. So we are playing the drinking game, as you all know. Anybody who's listened, and there's a lot of you listening now. I
can't imagine if you were drunk that you could mess up more words than when you were sober.
Fuck off. No, the funny part is that when we started this whole drinking game, we had a few, like 70, 80 listeners. Now there's well over 300 that are listening to this every flipping week.
Yeah.
So,
like we're turning a lot of people into alcoholism.
Yeah, we're moving a lot of people into alcoholism at this point.
Like I've said before, I mean, I would have to venture to say that they were probably alcoholics to begin with, or they wouldn't be listening to our dumbasses in the first fucking
Well, if they're sitting around drinking, listening to us, they damn sure are alcoholics.
Yeah, I mean, if they're playing the drinking game.
If they're playing the drinking game, they're already halfway there.
Fuck, that's more shots than fucking Thunderstruck.
But I only fucked up once this time. So that's one shot for everybody keeping score. That is one shot. One of these episodes...
You have been better lately.
One of these episodes, I'm literally going to get alcohol and I'm going to shoot with them. Because I think it's unfair that my ass is not taking a shot when they are. Unfortunately, I think by the end of the episode, I might not be conscious enough to actually post it.
Yeah. I was going to say no shit.
We'll get
Especially
there.
if that's that old Digger fucking rum in there. Goddamn.
The Digger rum, the Mark and Digger. Yeah, that shit'll get you.
Ralph should have run your car.
Well, especially if it was like the last episode that I posted, the tuberculosis one, where we were talking about Waverly. Because that's the one I posted last. That was episode 50. And I swear to God, I listened to it. There had to be 20 fucking fuck-ups in that. I would have drank the whole damn bottle and been on the floor going, and Waverly. Okay. Done. But anyways...
The limbic system.
Yeah, well, the hypothalamus is involved in sexual response, hormone release, and it regulates your body temperature. So that's one thing, those are the things of the hypothalamus. Not one thing, obviously. I just said 3. And I said, that's the one thing. Yeah, no, that's what the hypothalamus does. But the hippocampus, it preserves and retrieves memories. It also plays a role in how you understand spatial. Thank you. I did not know that word. Spatial. I know what it means. I just didn't know how to say it. Spatial dimensions of your environment. So the hippocampus, interestingly enough, is what you were talking about. That's the one that helps us perceive our environment. That's the one that shows you the matrix.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one that shows you if a wall is 3 feet away, you know a wall's 3 feet away, so you don't run into the motherfucker.
It helps you with depth perception.
Yeah, it helps you with depth perception. It also perceives your environment as a solid. So the hippocampus
there it is.
There's 2 shots. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. There is 2 shots.
I mean, yes, because there is no Z. There is no Z in the word perceives.
No.
Go ahead and drink up.
Drink up, ladies and gentlemen, because there is no word Z in the word perceives. I almost fucked up word.
So think about this, though, too.
God.
I mean, the brain. What do I want to say?
We'll see. Okay, now the hippocampus. Hold on. As I was going with the hippocampus, see, the amygdala works with the hippocampus because the amygdala coordinates responses to things in the environment, and it triggers emotional responses to things that you see.
What's that called?
The amygdala. And the amygdala and hippocampus work together. So the hippocampus tells you, hey, this room's...
your emotion,
Yeah. It'll tell you, hey, that's a tree. That's a tree and it's that many feet away. But then the amygdala puts an emotion to that tree, or puts an emotion to that sunset, or puts an emotion to that color, or, the hippocampus just says, hey, that's blue. Okay, that's blue. Mm-hmm. We know that's blue. We learned a long time ago that color's blue.
Right.
So the hippocampus is telling you, hey, that color's blue or green or whatever. Then the amygdala tells you, hey, I like blue.
What's your emotional response?
Yeah, what's my emotional response to that? That's the amygdala.
Now but here's the thing. That information was downloaded into you at a certain point somehow. And it's because when we're born, see, your brain's also operating on different frequencies, different waves of energy. Mm-hmm. When you're born, I believe it's alpha. So for the first 7 years of your life, you're operating in a certain brainwave that allows you to just download information. Right? You're a baby. You don't know anything. How are you learning? From your environment, from your parents, from your family, from your brothers, your sisters, and then you go to daycare and kindergarten and first grade, and you're downloading information. But like you said, it's also tied into your emotional responses to certain situations.
Well, see,
so look, I can remember specifically when I was little. Mm-hmm. I would have been 5 or 6, because my sister was right around 2. We're at the Indiana State Fair. Mm-hmm. Me, my mom, dad, brother, sister, and then my mom and dad's friends, Tim and Teresa, and their 2 sons. And dude, I'll never forget my mom and my dad looking at each other. Neither one of them had my sister, and both of them thought the other one had her.
Damn.
We're at the state fair.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
I bet you were freaking the fuck out, weren't you?
Yeah. So was I.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Right.
I'm a 5 or 6 year old kid, dude, and I'm not fucking stupid.
Right.
Right? And so that leaves a humongous emotional impact on my brain. So, in turn, obviously they found my sister.
Well, clearly, yes, she's still here.
But in turn, now, I'm going to have a problem with attachment.
Oh yeah.
With being overprotective, right? Subconsciously, automatically. If I don't sort that out within myself, if I don't sort that out within myself, I could go on the rest of my life clinging to everything and overprotecting everyone that comes into my life.
Yeah, of course you could.
Just based on that one
experience.
Yes. Because my brain perceived that, and its job is to protect me.
Well, see, this is the funny thing that fucks up scientists. I was going to say psychiatrists. Well, probably psychiatrists too, but it fucks up scientists because, like I said, the hippocampus tells you spatial recognition. Okay, and like I said, the hippocampus tells you that's blue, and that's downloaded information that someone else told you. But the amygdala gives you an emotional response to that color, which is not downloaded. It's not told to you. Because from birth, you're having an emotional response to that color or that tree or that sunset. That's why one person can see a sunset and go, oh, a sunset. And the other person can see a sunset and go, it's a fucking sunset. Because those are not downloaded information. So this is what fucks up scientists. Where does that come from?
Right.
Where and how does the amygdala tell your body that you like the color blue over the color red? It's not downloaded information. It's something that's programmed already into you from birth. So does that come from DNA or?
It's very possible.
They don't know where it comes from.
There's studies now, and it's called epigenetics. I listen to a lot of a guy named Dr. Joe Dispenza and a guy named Dr. Bruce Lipton. Mm-hmm. You can just type them in on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? And but they talk about epigenetics. Mm-hmm. They talk about what you're talking about, and genes and DNA and certain traits being passed on generation after generation after generation, that we may be suffering like a trauma or something inside our brains, like you said, that wasn't specifically downloaded into us in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. But it has carried over from past lifetimes. So like a Holocaust survivor. Like there may be people now, 2-3 generations now have been born that are still suffering. Maybe PTSD or some kind of emotional disorders.
Yeah,
because they are carrying the epigenetic information in their DNA. It's encoded inside of them.
They've proven that your DNA holds memories from your father and your mother and even further back. So DNA is transferred. Another interesting thing that they just recently discovered, and they don't even know how complex the system is, but they've discovered that eggs, that a woman's egg has absolutely no life form without a sperm. It is an unfertilized DNA holder. It just holds half the chromosomes and half the DNA. But it does not have any life. But sperm, on the other hand, has a very basic primitive brain that tells it where to go. Like sperm know to try to swim towards the egg. How would they know that because sperm are living creatures. That's what a lot of people don't understand. Sperm are alive. They're living beings. And the one sperm that got into that egg is why you are who you are. If another sperm had gone there, you would not be who you are. You would be a different person.
They're all individual.
They're all individual.
Wow.
Right. And
incredible.
each sperm thinks for itself.
That's nuts.
That's why some sperm...
That makes sense too. Because think about how many sperm are fighting to get to that one egg.
Right.
And somebody's got to win.
Right. And that's why some sperm, they've noticed, like, when they look at it under a microscope, some sperm will just swim around in a circle, like dumbasses. Some sperm go right to the middle of the Petri dish, like where the egg would be. Because some sperm, there's shot 3 for the episode.
It was like you wanted to say Sherman, Smurf, or Sperm.
I was going to call it a Smurf. I really was.
That's that blue
I'm not
Smurf.
gonna fucking lie to you. I was gonna say the Smurf, and then I stopped myself in the middle and added a P, and it came out sperm. Yeah, that's 30 minutes in, and we've had 3 shots. That's a shot every 10 minutes,
Hell
bud.
yeah, bud.
I'm getting
It's
them.
Memorial Day, man.
Damn right. Well, yeah, by the time they listen to it, will be. It's not right now, but when they listen to this, it will be.
So that doctor...
Oh, you know what? I just thought about that. That's interesting. Not to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
we'll have a lot of people listening to this tomorrow and getting real drunk off my nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's Memorial
There
Day.
might be people specifically tuning in.
Yeah, just
for that.
Hey!
Day off, man.
Yeah, baby.
Fire the grill, put on perfectly screwed, and grab a bottle.
Yeah, watch that. We'll turn on the tuberculosis episode. I guarantee you we'll be drunk before the steaks are done.
Dude, and I'm telling you right now, if there's one person that wakes up tomorrow and is like, I can't wait to listen to Perfectly Screwed Podcast and drink, I love you guys.
There's a few of them.
I love you guys. Because that'd be incredible.
No, it's interesting because we got like 318 normally in a week or two. But there are some that are extremely dedicated. Like there's about 15 or 20, I swear to God, in the first day or two, it's like they've already downloaded our shit. Right. So there's at least 15 to 20 that are like steady. Every fucking Monday and Tuesday, they're on it, bud.
We just need
they're like,
we just need
there
those
we go,
15 or 20 to get us 15 or 20 more.
Well, obviously they're doing a pretty good job because we have 318 at this moment. So yeah, and yeah, we started out with very little, so now we are getting there slowly but surely.
My thought from earlier.
Yes.
That Dr. Dispenza, they have now. He talks about the body being the subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. So that what happens is by the age of 35, 95% of who you are and what you do is automatic. Mm-hmm. It's just automatic programming. And that your body feels how you think. Mm-hmm. And that it's just a routine. Mm-hmm. But that you can, and they have proven it, and they have shown it scientifically, that you can, through meditation, if you can make yourself somehow feel, right? So like somebody say has a term like MS, they've had MS patients. They can put themselves into a state of mind where they feel so much appreciation and so much gratitude and so much love that they can almost feel as if their disease has already cured. And it cures. Mm. Through the act of feeling and tricking the brain into not remembering the past, but into thinking that it's the future that you want, because your brain can't fucking see. Right. Your brain can't see. So you could sit here and dwell on the past, and on how you think that you're a victim and you're oppressed right now, and that's fine, and that's how your body's going to respond, and that's what the universe is going to continue to bring into your life. But you can sit there and imagine. Everybody's got an imagination. The future that you want. And your brain doesn't know the difference. So if you could practice the feeling enough, your brain literally thinks that you're already in the future. Oh, yeah. And this is what people are doing. And this is how people are curing, and they're curing themselves. Mm-hmm. And I was just watching something yesterday about on the way home from the wedding, actually. It was Billy Carson, and he was interviewing this doctor lady, and she was talking about neuroplasticity, right? That our brain it's flexible, and the more knowledge and information, and the more open that we are to it, our brain literally expands. But like at the same time, if you're suffering from a trauma, like, say you were abused as a child, and you're holding that in, it's going there's going to be a spot in your brain that's not forming. It's not expanding. It's not working because you're leaving it trapped in there, and you're not dealing with it. You see what I'm saying? And so they can literally see this. We have the technology now.
Well, I'll tell you, Jason, every time I'm getting brain, I always expand.
Yeah.
Let's just say
one time.
I'm never saying when I'm getting dome, I just expand.
Never one time when I was getting domed.
Yeah. Have I not expand? Right. I'm always expanding when I'm getting some brain.
I always expand and expunge.
Yeah. Yeah. Some head is lovely. Anyways, I digress. Let's get back to what we were talking about. I'm horrible. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, for my horrible, uncouth behavior.
I think the problem is a big problem is in our society right now is that doctors are going around convincing people that they have these mental disorders, and I don't think that it's a mental disorder. Mind and brain are not the same thing. The problem is that people, it really comes down to the truth, man. To be honest with you, when people are not completely truthful about who they are, when they are locking up a certain feeling inside of them, of course it's going to feel like a mental problem. Of course it is. And it doesn't matter how far you think that you can bury it, and it doesn't matter in which way that you think you can bury it. If there was a negative emotional response, just like you were talking about the hippocampus and the
amygdala,
that they're interconnected.
Well, all of them are interconnected,
right? But that specifically these two. Because I find that interesting that they've narrowed it down, to that. That these two places are interconnected. The emotional response to the environment stimuli, right? Or, like I said, if you can use your imagination to feel the emotional response before you look at the outside environment stimuli, like there's a secret in that.
Well, see, this is not the only ones that are interconnected. All of these are interconnected in an interesting way. Because then you got the limbic cortex. And the limbic cortex contains two parts, which I am going to fuck up so bad. So I'm not going to say it's good. Okay.
These are words that I don't think, these aren't easy words.
They're called cingulate gyrus. Oh, I did that one pretty good. And the para-hippocampal gyrus. And together, these two regions, which make up the limbic cortex, they impact and they change your mood, your motivation, and your judgment. So they work with the amygdala and the hippocampus and the hypothalamus to all four parts work together to shade your environment. Because the amygdala, it gives you fear and anger, and it triggers emotional responses for things in the environment. Then the limbic cortex takes that, and it tells you what kind of mood you're going to be in based on your emotional response from the amygdala. And it also says motivation and judgment. So if your limbic cortex is screwed up in any way, that's where you get people who are trying to do extremely dangerous activities. So if you have a problem with your limbic cortex, you are more of a dangerous person because you don't have that fear response to hold you back. But at the same time, the amygdala also produces fear. So the amygdala says, hey, I'm not afraid. So the limbic cortex says, well, then we can just do this shit. Yeah. You know? So the amygdala says, well, I'm not afraid of jumping out of a plane because that's not a fear for me. And then the limbic cortex goes, yep, sounds good to me, let's do it. Whereas in a person who's afraid of it, the amygdala goes, hey, I don't want to jump out of a plane, I'm afraid of heights. And the limbic cortex goes, yeah, that's a bad judgment call. We probably shouldn't jump out of the plane because it might kill us. But see, that's the difference. All of these work together to form one small thought.
But it makes, yeah, exactly. 400 billion actions per second. Mm-hmm. So, but it makes sense, like, right? I mean, everybody, this is the human story, guys. Mm-hmm. Right? This is what they were talking about. Do not fucking eat from that tree of knowledge.
Yeah.
For when you do, you will surely die. Now, what does that mean? Because you don't die immediately from eating knowledge. Mm-hmm. It means that we are aware that we're going to die. As far as we can tell, right? There isn't any other living creature on this earth that is walking around with that worry.
True.
Or that fear. Mm-hmm. So we have a battle going on inside of us. Right? Good, bad. Do it, don't do it. I mean, it's the angel and devil on the right, left shoulder, however the hell you want to look at it. But it works in a certain way. Like I see it this way. At some point, when your brain gets switched on, becomes a magnet, pulls down a piece of God, the source, the mind, is now attached to this human vessel, right? Who we really are is that piece of mind that got sucked down and attached to this human vessel. But you got to know thyself. Why? Because this human vessel works in a certain way. It just like that computer right there works in a certain way. That phone in your hand works in a certain way. This speaker, this mouse, they work in a certain way. And if any of the parts are not working the way that they're supposed to work, it's gonna fucking be off. It's gonna be fucked up.
But this is what screws up scientists. Like, okay, and it screws up everybody, really, when you think about it. This is the thing. Fear and anger, right? They know it comes from certain parts of the brain, but other parts work together to make it. So why is one person afraid of this and it's a flight response, and another person has the same stimulus, but their brain, instead of saying flight, it says anger.
Yeah.
It says get angry.
Well,
attack.
Because they're looking in the wrong place.
Well, they can't figure out where it comes from.
Because the fight or flight response is going to be in accordance to an emotional response that you had when you were downloading information as a child.
Well, that's what
because
they think.
It's your feel, it's your heart, it's your emotions, it's your feeling that sends the signal out and interacts with the mind. And then that's the signal that goes to the brain and then is translated. And so everybody's different, right? Everybody's childhood was different. Everybody's experiences are different. So there are going to be certain things that you would be angry at that I might not get angry at. Because maybe, or, as an experience in your life, this certain kind of situation happened and you got angry, and that's what your brain is constantly telling you every time this thing comes back up.
Well, see, that would work except for the fact they've done it in small children who have not had any experiences of this. And they will show...
That could go back to what you said earlier about, and I was talking about the
it could be the DNA, right? It could be the DNA. But they've done it in small children where they'll show two kids the exact same image. One will get afraid, one will get angry. And it's a almost genetically downloaded
it almost has to be
response to that stimulus.
Because that's true too. Because like even, as a little, like say a 3 or 4 year old child, of course, everybody's different.
Right.
Some kids are fucking angry and some kids aren't. People are different.
Right.
But we're all, I've said this before. If you have 1,000 people lined up, everybody's different. You can clearly see that all 1,000 people are different. But if you take those same 1,000 people and you just put their brain and their heart on the table, will you be able to tell a difference?
No.
See, because everybody's working basically with the same computer.
Well, see, this is why it perplexes scientists. Because look at this. You take one child, his brain looks just like the other child. But he responds to the same thing differently than the other one. And neither one have been programmed that this is either fear or not. But it automatically, their brain interprets that same thing differently. It's almost from birth.
Different connections.
Right.
It's and wiring and firing.
Right. And it doesn't happen with other animals. Because you look at a cat, right? Take a cat, for instance. A house cat.
Yeah.
If I yell at one cat, or I yell at another cat, they're both going to run away from me. Both of them. If you corner any kind of cat, either one, they're probably going to attack you. Or either cow or one of the two, depending on if they're tame or not. But if you corner a wild animal, it's going to attack. And it doesn't.
Or it's going to do whatever it's naturally
instinctual do. But every single like if you corner a raccoon, it will attack you. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's Johnny Raccoon, Bob Raccoon, or whatever. They're all going to attack you if you corner them.
Yeah.
If they can get away, they will.
Right.
And they'll try to get away from you. That's not different between raccoons. Why is the difference between humans?
Yeah, because you're right. Animals in nature are working on just strictly their natural instinctive abilities.
Right.
Where as humans, we've been given words, so we've been given the ability to lie.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. Well, also, they don't know where happiness comes from. They know happiness is something that originates in the limbic cortex somewhere. But it's also part of the precuneus, which plays a role in it. And the precuneus is involved in retrieving memories and maintaining who you are, your sense of self. And it focuses your attention as you move throughout your environment. So it does all of that, and it works with the limbic cortex, and somehow it produces the feeling of happiness, and they have no idea why.
Well, see, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, people have to get happiness isn't something that you should be chasing. It's not something you should be trying to obtain, because it's simply a feeling, and all feeling and just feelings and thoughts and feelings, they're fleeting, man. Right? They come and they go. You're gonna have moments of happiness. And then it's gonna go. And then you're gonna have moments of sadness and depression.
Well, the interesting thing
is, they're gonna come and go. But that's why it's a skill. It's a practice.
Well, the interesting thing is, this is the interesting thing. They have done studies, and in 2015 they did a study, and people with a larger precuneus are happier with less depression, no matter the situation. So they took, two very poor people, okay? And they took one poor person, and he had a smaller precuneus. He was depressed all the time about his situation, hated the fact that he was poor.
Yeah.
They took another person with a larger precuneus gland, and they were just content and happy as hell.
Of course.
Because
this comes down to neuroplasticity.
Right.
It's because it's a skill, guys. It's a practice, man. You can't just, if you want to pick up a baseball and be a pitcher, very few people are going to be able to just pick up a baseball and be a pitcher, man. You have to practice. If you want to play the guitar, you got to practice. If you want to play the piano, I mean, it doesn't matter what it is, man. You have to practice. And if you want happiness and you want joy and you want a meaningful, fulfilled life, then you have to practice appreciation and gratitude and love. How are you going to practice that unless you practice in situations where you shouldn't be?
Correct.
Right? And so if you do it enough and you're teaching yourself to be content no matter what the situation is, then it's proven, then your brain is going to expand.
Right.
And of course your precuneus is going to be larger. Mm-hmm. And so to me it's criminal. It's criminal for a doctor to be like, "Oh, you have a small precuneus. You're just sad. You're just depressed. Right. Here, take these pills."
Right.
No, motherfucker, that's wrong.
Well, here's another funny part. Okay, romantic love or love for, which is completely different than other types of love, but romantic love is triggered by stress and fear, by the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus actually,
hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, it releases when you first find somebody romantically attractive, before the love hormone kicks in, right? Oxytocin and dopamine and stuff of that nature. The hypothalamus actually produces stress and fear before the oxytocin, and that actually causes your body to overdo your adrenaline. Mm-hmm. It causes a higher release of dopamine and oxytocin, which makes you believe you are in love.
And and stress, the worst is cortisol. Mm-hmm. So the stress hormone basically is called cortisol, and it's tied to so many things, man. It's tied to, obesity, cancer, all these. But the thing is, think about it, man. Think about how, just in pretty much anybody's life. I mean, we've all had our hearts broke. Mm-hmm. We've all been in a relationship and had our hearts broken, and I mean, my mom and dad are getting ready to have their 40th anniversary. Mm-hmm. That's rare. Mm-hmm. And I understand that I grew up when you look around in what's a rare situation now.
Well, now, yeah.
Because most families are, most homes are broken. There's a lot of and there's a lot of single parents, and a lot of kids, man, have been brought up in environments where they have watched toxic relationships. Mm-hmm. And so that right there is going to, immediately your brain is built to protect you. And it's subconsciously, it's automatically running to what you see in your outside environment, how it makes you feel emotionally. Boom. That's what's triggering, the stress and fear. Hey, avoid that, avoid that, avoid that. Warning, warning, warning. You know what I'm saying? That relationship, not going to work, not going to work, not going to work. And we get caught in this loop because people don't understand what's going on. That you, like say you get romantic feelings for someone, and maybe you really do like someone. You think, man, that person's really awesome. But like you said, your hypothalamus then kicks in and says, "Who, you know what I'm saying? Do you really want to go down that road? You know what I mean? What have you learned about relationships? What have you experienced in relationships? Your heart's going to get broke. You're going to get abused. You might abuse someone." And so you're playing this game inside your head.
Right.
And so...
But biologically, at that point, the moment you're scared, you are now releasing dopamine and oxytocin to alleviate the fear, which makes you happy.
That's a great...
And that's why that's
a great point, man, because that's another thing people don't realize is there's actual chemicals.
Right.
There's actual chemicals. There's actual scientific chemicals and data.
This is why you need to take time to get to know someone before you jump into marriage and a relationship and living with these people. Yeah. Because, look, even in bed, I mean, you can have sex with them and not jump into more serious things.
Right. But in my opinion, it's something you better talk about before you jump into bed with them because there are consequences.
But see, your brain, for the first 6 to 9 months that you know someone romantically, is releasing these chemicals of dopamine and oxytocin. So it's fooling you into believing this person is perfect for you. It doesn't stop producing those chemicals for 6 to 9 months after you meet someone. So you want to wait at least 6 to 9 months to see how you really feel about this person before you decide to progress further. And that's one of the problems with our society and our culture. People are rushing, trying to get to the finish line without running the race.
Well, yeah.
And you can't do it.
You're trying to build a skyscraper without having laid a foundation.
Correct. A house will fall down if you don't put the foundation down right.
But just like you're talking about, before you make a commitment, to someone in a romantic relationship, you should absolutely get to know them for a long period of time. But I think another problem is that we have so many people that are broken that they're scared to even ever give anything a try, right? But they just want to have casual sex.
Right.
Except that's not really what they want. They do want a relationship. They do want to try to make something work. You know what I'm saying? They're not just trying to jump in bed with everybody. But that game is being played, right? Those like you said, those chemicals are being released. And their past experiences, even though it comes down to your heart and your brain are not going to agree all the time.
Well, see,
So that's why you better know who you are and what you want. Because there's the only way you're going to be able to trick the system. Because at the end of the day, what we're talking about, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Everybody has free will to make their own choice.
But see, I disagree with you. I don't think casual sex is necessarily a bad thing because of this. Casual sex itself will release oxytocin and dopamine into your brain the same way love is. So if you know that you yourself are too damaged to be good for another person, what's wrong with casual sex?
Nothing.
Because you get the same feelings as love without all the bullshit that goes along with it.
I agree. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it.
Right. In fact, casual sex in a lot of ways is better.
If you're damaged and you're broken and you know you're not good for anyone, right? And you tell somebody that you're all in.
You shouldn't do that.
But you're all in on a relationship with them just to have casual sex with them. Now we're talking about a problem.
Well, now you're not talking about casual sex. Now you're talking about deceiving people.
You're talking about lying.
Yeah, that's a different story.
You're talking about deceiving someone. Exactly right. And that someone you deceived is yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Period. End of story. And if you don't clean that up, right? So you may have lied to someone to get what you want, and you may have think that you won. But you know the truth. And yes, you can. You can block it out. You can. You absolutely can block it out. You've done somebody wrong, and people, you got to move on. Go ahead. Bury it inside of yourself and move on. But it's there. And it ain't never leaving. And it affects every single thing that you do moving forward in a negative way, whether you think it does or not. And so you could bury it as far as you want. But if you lied and you deceived, and you know that you lied and you deceived, and you don't make amends for it.
Well, I think the problem we have with society, especially nowadays, is this, speaking of love and casual sex and all that, this is the problem. People jump into relationships, then they get people pregnant, then they have kids.
Yes.
And neither one are available emotionally or physically or mentally to be in that relationship. They end up hating each other. They get divorced, and then who suffers? The kids. And then the next generation just gets worse.
Yeah,
that's why I said,
absolutely, man.
Casual sex.
That's a real epidemic.
Right, and casual sex is a better option. Having sex with a bunch of people, strapping on a condom.
Just be honest.
Right, because now you're not only fucking up your 2 lives, you're fucking up that kid's life. And that's why you need to take the time to know who you are, and not just in relationships, in every aspect of life. Because look what we just said about the brain. Your brain is producing chemicals that tell you, hey, that might not be a bad thing to do. Well, maybe you should think about that twice before you do it, because your chemicals in your brain are telling you, hey, you shouldn't be afraid of this. Maybe you should think a little bit and say, maybe I should be afraid of this.
Right.
Maybe drinking and fucking getting on a motorcycle and going 100 miles an hour is a bad idea.
That's it. I mean, that's what it boils down to is, yes, who are you?
Yeah.
And what do you want? And is the decision you're about to make, is it in alignment with the goal that you have, where you want to be, and who you want to become?
Well, this is
that simple. And if you make a decision that isn't in alignment with it, you know that you didn't. Mm-hmm. You lied to yourself, and you know that you did. Okay? And yet, and there is a place in the brain that you can store that and you can bury it. But that's where disease comes from.
Well, see,
that's where depression comes from. That's because that deceit is like gravity, man, and it's a pressure, and it's a weight, and it's weighing you down and down and down, and now you've buried that problem so far, and now so much time has gone by that you don't even fucking remember it.
Well, see, this is what you got to ask yourself, and I think if more people asked themselves this before they did something, we'd have less troubles in the world. Does your brain control you, or do you control your brain?
Exactly.
Do you control your actions as a conscious human being, or are you going to let the chemicals inside your brain control what you do? No, and that's 100%. If you sat and thought about that before you made every decision you made, things would be a lot different.
Yeah, because and that's what I'm saying. When you go to the doctor and he tells you have a mental problem, then you are succumbing to the fact that your brain controls you, and that's not true.
That's true. Like schizophrenic.
You are a piece of everything there is that has come down into this physical form. Period. End of story. You're a spiritual being that chose to come down and have a physical experience. You're not physical trying to find a way to be spiritual. Right? So, hey, you have a mental fucking problem is a problem. Because once you have succumbed to that label, then how are you going to fix yourself?
What's the same?
Because you have the choice. You control your brain. You're in charge.
Same thing with addiction. And I just had a conversation with a guy on Facebook a couple days ago about this whole situation. He said addiction's a disease, and I said it is not. It is not a disease.
No.
You cannot control, like you were saying, you can't control if you have bipolar or schizophrenia. You're going to have the symptoms no matter what, because that is something that is off in your chemical makeup. You cannot control the fact that your brain and your body is physically addicted to heroin. But you can control whether you do heroin.
Yeah.
You can.
Absolutely.
It is your choice to wake up every day and do heroin or not.
Well,
now, it's going to be bad. I give you.
Right.
Just like if you're a schizophrenic and you realize, hey, I'm a paranoid schizophrenic, you're still going to be paranoid. You're still going to see visions.
Yes.
But it's been proven, and if y'all don't believe me, look at the movie A Beautiful Mind. That guy was a paranoid schizophrenic, and he learned how to control it without any drugs. He still had the visions.
Yep.
He still had the delusions. But you know what? He learned how to ignore them and say, yeah, they're there. I see these people, but they're obviously not real. And the things I'm thinking are just my chemicals in my brain fucking with me. So I'm gonna decide as a human being not to respond to this motherfucking shit.
You have to decide to look at yourself in the mirror. Decide that you are who you are. And decide that you're not going to let anybody label you anymore, man. I mean, like, and I have sympathy and empathy. You know what I'm saying? I do. I really do. And I understand, man, that people have problems and disorders and the shit goes on.
And addiction's a motherfucker. I'll give him.
But it all comes down to a choice, right? And like you just said, like I'm bipolar, right? I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. Look at yourself in the mirror. Understand that you have this going on. Understand that you're not the only one. Understand that it's not crazy, that it's perfectly normal, and that you just have to decide that you're going to choose to learn how to keep it under control. And it won't be easy.
And that's what I've said. That's the difference between a strong person and a weak person. A strong person can go through that shit and say, yeah, I know this is happening, but you know what? I'm not going to let it get the best of me.
Exactly.
Where a weak person needs a drug to make sure it doesn't get the best of them.
That or they need
therapy
validation.
or something.
They need attention. They need they fiend for people to feel sorry for them. Even though they'll tell you they don't want anybody feeling sorry for them. Again, that's because lies, they just create more lies.
And I'm not saying, when you're an addict or you have a mental illness that you shouldn't seek out people to help support you, because it's hard.
Should.
It's hard to go through that shit by yourself.
And yes, it is. And it's equally as hard to seek somebody out for help, dude. And it takes a strong person to do both. That's the point. If you're not okay with who you are and you want to change, guess what? To ever get to a point where you want to get, you're going to have to do a lot of things that scare you.
Well, see,
a lot of things you're afraid of because you're not comfortable doing them. But you have to step out and do them because you know it's the right thing to do. You have to clean your heart, man.
And some people, I'm not saying that all people with mental illness don't need some drugs. Because there are some people that, they need...
I'm not against drugs.
They need medication to help that bipolar.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
With that medication,
from personal experience,
you need a little help.
Can tell you, that some drugs work and some drugs don't.
Correct.
Right? Some drugs are going to affect everybody differently. But I'm with you. You know what I'm saying? If you are admitting you got a problem and you're seeking help and somebody gives you something, by all means,
and
give it a try. But you have to be honest about what it's doing.
Correct. And if you can't handle it on your own, you have to have drugs, then that's what you got to do.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you got to be strong enough to A, go get the help. B, you got to be a strong enough person to take the drugs. And then C, you're still going to have to, as a person, deal with the symptoms that are coming. Because the drugs ain't going to take them away by themselves.
And now, I think, in a situation like that, for every that, for the drug, it's all intertwined. You're also going to have to be in constant communication with your doctor about how it's making you feel on a daily basis.
Yeah, because there's some side effects in drugs that are worse than the actual symptoms.
Because they need to know that.
Yeah.
They need to know on a daily basis exactly what is going on inside your head and inside your heart. And that's hard to talk about, man. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens is people bury that shit. And, dude, it's... Yeah, I get it.
Well, I hope you guys liked it. This has been episode 51. We're at about an hour and 20 right now, so we're going to cut it off.
Damn.
And I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Appreciate you guys.
We will be back next week with another episode, and thank you all for listening.